Yes, we met earlier last week and went through baseline schedule, working with the basic cost estimate, and then looking at what and where are the opportunities for improvement on that. And the idea is to set ourselves up and understand what those parameters are early enough in advance that we can actually ask the question and push an issue if we think there's an advantage with our partners. So that was really helpful.
Remember, that was construction on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Because we didn't have a design schedule.
Right. Yeah. Just looking at the construction.
Right, so I guess I'm confused. Which construction schedule are you talking about?
Just looking out at the construction schedule. So where we're predicated right now on a lot of assumptions is start of construction in 27, fall of 27. So where does that need to start and how does that lay out? Yeah.
See if I can help you. Remember when we did the last estimate, we had two estimates.
Right. Yes.
We picked the lower one, had a schedule with it.
Right.
And it had an approach to the schedule.
Right.
So we took that and we said, first off, refresh our memory to an 11 or 10/27 start.
Okay.
Forget about all the rest of it. Just plug it in, remind us how it was built, configuration of it. You remember 2 ends into the middle. Let's have a discussion about the drilled shafts. If you remember, the original approach was 4 drilled shafts up here. Now we have 2,
right,
with the exception of the ones around
the open
shaft. Okay, so on a gross basis, what does that do to the schedule? And then we started talking about what would happen with the girders. If we were able to thin down the girders, what kind of a thing would happen with that? And then we started looking at the schedule, where are other opportunities or where are there pinch points? And we came up with a page worth of things to go look at. If you look at the schedule and you consolidate it down because of the foundations, potentially that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.5 to 4 months acceleration to the end date. Okay, well, what is that worth to us as far as money? Time-related costs, shorter, and then what do you save in the foundation? So the concept we kicked around in there is that we want to tie ourselves to the 1120, and anything we can do to cheapen up the project, we'll take that savings and dump it into contingency. We don't want to reduce the cost of this project right now since we don't even have all the funding for it. But let's start as we can. Let's build up that contingency as big as we can get it, which gives us the best chance going forward of living within the $1.12 billion.
So when you talk about a schedule, you're talking about you started with the schedule that was kind of the last written thing that we saw, and you've kind of been noodling with it. Or next time we'll have a schedule that has real meat to it is when we get to which point in the design phase? 60%. Okay. Okay. So you're working with the best you have now, but next summer we'll have better.
Yeah. So what we're trying to do is, as we find these efficiencies, what's the knock-on effect of them? Right. Intuitively, you think it's got to save you some money and some schedule. Well, let's do a little bit more than just intuitive. Sure. And whatever we find, let's document it, log it, and then where it's on a positive for our side of our savings, let's build up the contingency. If it's
and the reason is because as you move forward with the design, you're more likely to find things that work to the worse instead of to the better, right? It's easy to come and say, hey, we can save some money. Let's think of different ways to save money. You can come up with a bunch of ways. You don't say, hey, let's think of the ways that that this could cost more. So
I think when you really, really look at it, our risk for going up is either in pricing because of inflation, and we're watching it now this month.
Yep.
We got indices. And the other thing I personally believe that we've still got risk is figuring out how we're gonna do the north end
Right. Me access.
access.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, once we get that figured out, then I think your risk on this project goes way down as long as we get construction funding. If that funding doesn't come,
Right.
off we go.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, we have something that works.
Yeah.
We just don't like the way it worked.
Yeah.
We think it's the north end.
Yeah.
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 There's
We have a
there's
solution.
a budget, and after this exercise, the line items change. The total amount stays the same. Contingency line gets bigger. A couple of these other lines get smaller until the next iteration,
Right,
where we may go the opposite direction.
right.
And we're just storing up so that we can keep using the same one.
Right.
Okay.
And hopefully our first estimate, I mean, it should 50% ads, 50% deducts. The things that are going to drive price up are those things that we can't control. It's the indices, availability, schedule that gets protracted for some reason.
So the geotech is the one I would say we hadn't talked about. I mean, we did 12 borings across the water, but there were 2-inch borings in a 9-foot circle. So, you know, those are still risks that hopefully these additional borings that we're going to get done will tell us more about each shaft.
A reminder, when are those complete?
They're just getting started. So that's what they've been working on right now on the land.
Okay.
We're waiting on the permits right now to do the in-water. Part of that is waiting on Army Corps, who's now on furlough. So we'll get those started as soon as we can get the okay from them.
So it's possible that we may not be able to do borings until after the government comes back.
Possible. It's a possibility.
There is a plan B if we have to pull the trigger. We've asked that if you take a look at where the piers are positioned across and you overlay it with the core sampling that we've already got done, is there some that is higher risk than others? And maybe what we do is we start design on those very low risk ones without having all the geotechnical work done.
And they can also do some superstructure and out of the water design in so the bridge can bond while we're waiting on that. The other thing that they're looking at is bringing in 2 rigs to do the borings instead of 1. The original plan was bring 1.
Right.
So they're looking at bringing in 2 to do twice. So those are just some ways we're looking at kind of countering what we're seeing right now.
Remind me how many holes that we're talking for each pier. We're boring at each pier, right?
One hole for each pier.
One at each shaft.
Shaft, yeah.
That's
20.
It was more than that. There was more borings. I don't have the permit in front of me, but it was more.
Yeah,
It
it's one
wasn't
of each.
excessive, but it was the needed amount per shaft.
Yeah, it's one of each shaft plus the temporary work, plus some exploratory ones on top of that. So I want to say 40-ish was the total number, was in the neighborhood of 40. We can get you the exact number if you need the exact number.
I'm actually, frankly, I'm more concerned about what the dependency here is on the government reopening and how that affects our ability to proceed on the design.
It's the permitting.
No, I understand that, but you can't do design without permitting. Well, you can't do design without you can't do the design without the cores and without the cores, without the.
You can't finalize it.
You can't finalize things. Yeah.
Finalize it. You can still do some work.
Yeah. There's components of the design that we can do without the cores, and that's what they're focusing on right now.
So the statement is even though the government is shut down, Kiewit is still progressing.
Yes.
Okay.
At what point do you start to lose pace?
3 months, 4 months.
It's earlier than that, but
How many engineers do we have on the project right now?
I'm just having a joke here.
We've got another total number right now, probably.
Yeah, somewhere on there.
there's really,
They haven't fully ramped up.
there's 2 issues we're gonna get impacted by the shutdown. One is the permits right now, anyway, permits for the geotech work.
Right.
The second one is getting a rod signed.
Right.
Now, that doesn't have a real immediate impact on it, but we're asking the question, how long before it really starts hurting us?
We got Kiewit's fully loaded schedule on Friday that has all of their phase two laid out. We'll be taking a look at that and looking at where we can leverage and do design. Continue to move forward.
Okay.
Keep an eye on that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, it leaves me a bit nervous, not because it's so clearly, there's a serious issue that you're talking about. We know that the area underlying the river has shelves of hard material and that the bottom is distinct and variable. I think it's probably the best way to say it. So it's not like the cores are simply to reassure yourself. There's real information that will determine the design of these piers that's going to come out of this.
But let's be real clear, even if we do a couple more borings, that doesn't guarantee you that we're not gonna find a surprise.
I understand. That's why a contingency. Yeah.
Because as you know, out there, that basalt, you could be 6 inches over
Just
here
get
and
in the
solid,
crack.
and another 6 inches over there and it's void.
Do they potentially move or do additional borings or consider moving the piers depending on what they find in the geotechnical?
Absolutely. And if you remember, we have a contingent, I'll say an allowance, contingency for additional borings, depending on what we have. So we're going to do the initial set of borings. If something comes out that looks different and needs more investigation, we've got budget to do additional borings.
And all of that is just in an effort to reduce the risk that we do
Somewhere down the road.
the auger and don't run into a surprise.
Right.
We
Anything
got
else?
that one.
All right.
But it's important, right?
It is important. All right.